This is the Tallahassee Business Podcast, brought to you by the Greater Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce. Thank you to our sponsor, 223 Agency, a digital relations firm helping you maximize and develop your digital footprint. Check them out on the web at 223agency.com. Without further ado, enjoy this episode of the Tallahassee Business Podcast.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Sue Dick, President and CEO of the Greater Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce. Very excited for this podcast. Rodney Lewis is with us, and Rodney is a Chamber Board of Directors member, an active citizen within our community, born and raised here in Tallahassee. And Rodney, thanks for being with us today. For our listeners, maybe tell them a little bit about yourself personally and how you started your company.
Thanks, Sue. Rodney Lewis, Architects Lewis Whitlock. Happy to be here. Did grow up here local, stayed local. Went to Florida A&M University because at the time I graduated high school from Rickards High School. It was actually the center of excellence in the state of Florida for architecture. So decided to stay home and go to school. 5 years of enjoyable time. Actually was able to meet my business partner there, Cam Whitlock. It's interesting, we have this discussion near Christmas because one of our first projects in school where we actually worked together was the fact that we were designing as a team project a installation for Santa's workshop in Governor Square Mall.
Wow.
So that was a good 32 years ago. So
wow,
interesting stuff.
It is. So bring us fast forward to right now. Maybe I know your footprint is around this community, some phenomenal buildings. Maybe just kind of rattle off some current projects that you all are currently working on or might be in the marketplace here in the near future.
Some interesting projects. Waller Park, which is the west side of the Capitol. It's a project that has been in the office for about 4 or 5 years awaiting funding. And that is actually going to kick off in January. So it's the final component of the Capitol complex. And so we'll now have an entirely new area of plazas, meeting space, and function space around the Capitol. It's a very interesting project.
So for those listeners, that's actually, people may know it where the Dolphin Fountain is, that plaza level?
Correct. This is an ADA improvement. So when you've got school kids or the senior citizens visiting Tallahassee and they're wanting to see the Capitol, right now they're having to transverse 35 to 40 feet in elevation. So now there's actually going to be elevator shafts and bridges that will take you across to that upper level and west entry of the Capitol. So it's going to be iconic transition for that west side of the Capitol.
Wow. I mean, Rodney, that's amazing. And I think even to go with the South and North Plaza that has taken place via Ajax, J. Smith's company constructing, I mean, that's going to be an entire new look for our downtown area. So you also participated and did the design for the Jim Moran College of Entrepreneurship, did you not?
Correct. Great project downtown. Having a presence downtown has just been really interesting. Between Jim Moran, the Ballard Building at 201, we've got some work in 215, South Monroe right now, potentially looking at a few other projects downtown that should be announced soon. So there's a lot of energy downtown. We'd just love to be involved in any of that.
Rodney, what do you attribute that to, do you think? I mean, you've been here, you grew your company here, you've stayed here, you've obviously seen a lot of other places. I mean, maybe just why do you think that is?
Just, kind of what drives our company is creativity. So we set out from the onset to change the built environment in Tallahassee for the better, in our opinion, was to have things that are better designed, more creative, maybe outside of the box. And, starting out early on, we were the young guys. We still feel like we are the young guys, so to speak, but we're getting up there in age. But the fact that we surround ourselves, Cam and I both, with creative people, and everyone wants to be able to tell that story or have a project tell the story, have story-driven design. And so people can engage in that and be part of that. And I think our owners appreciate it. I think the general public appreciates that effort. And it's an investment. We're all in.
Well, and I think it's evident. I think the culture you've committed to within your company. I mean, I think you've recently had some talent recruitment take place. I mean, I think talent can pretty much go anywhere these days and work from anywhere they want. So maybe talk a little bit about how that's been successful for you to create the culture that you have, and your new recruit, Amina, who is an international recruit, but maybe just talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. It's, once you reach a certain level in a design studio kind of takes on a life of its own, so to speak. Everyone's kind of working together, you're within the same area, and it takes on a certain culture that you don't want to upset, but you do want it diversified. So we want different ideas, and we work as a group. We're often in office, individually working on a project. We have in-house charrettes and things of that nature. So you want to get everyone's different perspective, so it's fun. We're an engaging group. We have lost a few folks in the past months, relocations. Some of that is due to COVID and companies downsizing and spouses getting new jobs. So, I mean, that has impacted us, but we have brought in, as you mentioned, Amina from Lebanon. And it's very interesting to bring in a different culture into a culture that we have established. But I'll tell you, the conversations have been great. The food she brought to our Thanksgiving gathering here at the office, everyone's asking questions. So it's very engaging and it's very interesting. She is a very creative individual. We're looking forward to having her here and contributing to our projects.
Well, and I think that's what's so unique about Tallahassee. And I think we see that with the many businesses that we interact with, the diversity, the international appeal that really is within our community. I think the universities also help in that regard. And I would hope that we continue to see more and more of that as we move into 2021 in the future. You brought up the COVID word that which seems like it's part of our world. How are you and your partner and Cam and the company looking towards 2021? We always like to ask the question, how has COVID impacted 2020? But most importantly, how do you plan for the future, and what do you kind of predict out or forecast out for?
A little hesitant with 2021. I think it's going to be interesting, with interest rates being low and people continuing to borrow money and invest money. I think we'll continue to see projects move forward. We've been blessed with some larger projects in the past 2 to 3 years that have spanned some of this downturn and gap in activity. We've had a few projects that have either been delayed or canceled because of COVID, and that's just part of the process. But it's been interesting. We've picked up some new design challenges, some custom residential, which is always been kind of interesting because it's a design release for us, and we would only have 1 or 2 in the office set in a year. Within this past year, we've probably taken on 7 different residential projects, and they're great releases and a chance for us to have some creativity on a smaller project and a quicker project than most of our municipal projects.
I think one of the recent ones, the aging in place, what did you call it? The M&M house over in Myers Park?
We called it the M&M house after our owners and clients. It's interesting. They're actually clients from the FAMU School of Architecture.
So was that a redesign of their house in Myers Park, or they wanted to add on, or would they build a new house?
Actually, new house constructed by one of our chamber members, Southern Standard Construction.
Great.
So great, interesting house, trying to fit an aesthetic and a contemporary aesthetic into the Myers Park neighborhood, which has really just some amazing mid-century architecture in some of the older houses there.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, very cool. Well, I'll have to go by there and see it. Are they in? Is it complete?
they're in, it is complete, and hopefully they're happily enjoying the environment there in the neighborhood, with the golf course and some of the other adjacent amenities.
Oh, okay. So I always love asking those who have been courageous enough to start their own business. What was if you can recall this, and you might not, you might have blocked it out of your memory, I'm looking as well, but if you could, the one mistake or the one thing that you wish you had known when you first was starting this journey.
Interesting question. Always was determined, very determined to do what I am doing right now, but probably one of the biggest, is just the lack of understanding of what it takes to keep a business afloat. As an employee, you generally expect the paycheck, it happens, company makes money, everything's fine. But just the reality of some of the nuances, the overhead, the impacts to actually making payroll on a monthly basis makes me wish I would have stayed in that business school class that I was going to take as an elective at FAMU. But they were very serious about it. It's like, wow, they're way too serious. That program is an excellent program, and we just didn't have the patience for it. We were looking for easy credits and a way to move forward. Thought we'd gather some knowledge, but it would have been worth it to stay in that and understand that a little more.
Well, and I think too that is there something you can back to, as I hate to use the word failure, but we all have the biggest failure you've had and what you learned from it?
I don't have a good one, honestly.
Okay.
Making good either design decisions or business decisions, personal decisions, you kind of look back on all of that. And, I probably, one of the biggest failures I made early on was being so determined in my business plan and approach that I probably did not have a good work-life balance, with the kids and things of that nature, because you're growing a family and trying to grow a business at the same time. Just in my age, because we started our business, when I was 30, and just getting the kids engaged. And so that to me, I wouldn't consider it a failure, but maybe a missed opportunity of a better balance between just life and business.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think part of it for all of us is being able to recognize it. And again, as we look forward, because we have years ahead of us, and we are all very competitive, and we want to keep doing things better. So I think part of that is also how we keep looking towards the future, especially with what we've all been dealing with in 2020.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So as you all forecast out, and what does 2021 look like for you all? I know we kind of touched on that on COVID, but let's peel that off of it. As you look to 2021 and really beyond, do you continue to grow within the market and outside of the market, or where do you see the opportunities that are out there?
Yeah, regionally, our business is growing regionally. So we are reaching out to some other areas. I wouldn't consider it a simple thing to do. It's an aggressive, can be sometimes expensive and a burden on a company, but we are looking to grow regionally, and whether that's, in residential, whether it's in multifamily, or whether it's in commercial or municipal. We have such a broad band or spectrum of projects, and we're looking to grow that. So maybe not necessarily grow our business in terms of the size of our business, because we're a pretty efficient mid-sized firm, but actually grow our reach and take some of our expertise to some of the adjacent areas.
Mm-hmm. And just closing out here and wrapping up a little bit, obviously you were able to sell not only your company, but our community to the new talent that you recruited in. And so maybe, you are a successful business owner along with your partners, and with that comes many, many great qualities. For our community, I mean, how would you try and position our community, and what words of encouragement would you push out there as we go into 2021, and what you see the opportunities for our community to be in Tallahassee specifically?
I think Tallahassee is a great place to live. Now, obviously, I grew up here. I'm a little biased, but in terms of the opportunities here, they're continually increasing in my mind. I think it's a great place to live. You see the commitment from the city in terms of the amenities, the public infrastructure. You're seeing that commitment. So whether it's parks, whether it's the water service, the fire service, our TPD, which happens to be another great project that we're working on that we hope to see in the coming years be built. So I do believe that we have a community on the rise, and we're going to see that in the next few years. We're going to maintain more talent in town. We're going to have more creative people here, creative spaces and engagement. You see it building. It's bubbling up to the surface.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, Rodney, thanks for everything you and your team do. And I love looking at your projects. You all are very, very talented and continue to just enhance our landscape for our community. So thanks for your time today, and thanks for everything you do for our community.
Thank you, Sue. Thanks to the Chamber for everything that you do for the businesses.
Thank you, Rodney. See you soon.
Thank you.